consort, my playmate, my comrade and companion. All these and more art thou, sweet ecstasy of life I find in thee. With thee I am, without thee I am nothing. Now that thou hast come to me, I feel secure. All cares are gone, my faith and courage have blossomed like twin flowers. My heart is like a green garden, fragrant after a shower of dewdrops at dawn. Love, stay with me, stay on, oh stay on. Without thee, life is a desolation, a desolation, a desolation. Yet will I not hold thee, nor urge thee in thy staying. Thou art delicate, most tender. I will not press, but only will I invoke, worship and pray at thy shrine. Love, thou art my God, my goddess, my master and my mistress, my consort, my playmate, my comrade and companion. All these and more art thou. All these and more art thou.
Om Satchidananda Sharanam. Om Shri Guru Kripahi Kevalam. Om Shri Guru Sharanagato. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. What a beautiful day it is, isn't it? We've had so many gray days for so many days in a row, and just have the blessing of actually seeing the face of the sun and a blue sky, just exhilarating no matter what else is going on in our lives. I was really touched hearing about Elmo. For those of you who aren't on social media, which I think I'm not, he asked on social media, how is everyone doing? And I was so touched by that, because who better than and nicer than Elmo to ask you, how you doing? And people were, I don't know if they were asked to limit their responses in terms of the number of words, but it seems that maybe in a sentence they were able to respond, and people responded from the depths of their hearts. And I can't think of anybody more cuddly or more neutral to ask that question of us, to ask, how are you doing? How are you holding up? How's everything going for you? And especially if you're the strong one, the one that's sort of the rock of Gibraltar in your family, or the caregiver. How are you doing? And so we come to how important our inner life is. I don't have the author in mind right at the moment, but the quotation, the essence of the quotation is that the essence of every religion, the heart of every religion, the core of every religion is to give meaning to our lives. And I think, Pascal was right in this sense, that if you don't know for sure yourself by your own inner experience, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you need to just bet. And what he did is, he thought to himself, is there a meaning in this life, in human life? Is there an intelligence behind human life? Or is there not? And at some point in each of our lives, we have to make a choice. Pascal said, I'm making my choice on the side that there is meaning in life. That all these things that happen to us and around us and to us have a deeper meaning. And it's just not a chaotic game of chance. Of course, all the great religious traditions, I always look up at our stained glass windows, which have representations of the great faith traditions throughout history. All of them attest to the fact that there is meaning. And of course, those who have awakened within themselves this inner consciousness of something greater than themselves. And this awakening is a highly individual matter. It's personal to us. It happens differently to everyone when it happens. But it does happen. And when it happens to people whom we trust, even before it happens to us. And we say, well, I look at that person, they seem to have their feet on the ground, they seem to be normal. They don't seem to be out there on the fringes. And they say, from their own experience, and that's one thing, what we say with our words, but it's what we say with the way we live our lives that really counts. And I look at their lives and the way they're living their lives, and the way they treat other people and other living beings, this person is worthy of respect. This person has something. This person is something. And therefore, if they say to me, you know, absolutely there's meaning in life. Absolutely every single experience we go through has meaning, both to us and to our collective consciousness. We're all in this together, and we all make a difference. Then this gives me something to work with. And then when we find out, either by watching them or learning from them or reading about them or talking with people who know them or knew them, then we have a set of stepping stones. I remember when we were hosting the Snow Mass group out in California at our ashram in La Crescenta. The Snow Mass group was a group of spiritual leaders from all different faith traditions. It was called together by Father Thomas Keating, a great mystic, a great theologian, a great saint, really. And his endeavor was it possible to gather a whole group of really experienced, wise men and women, faith tradition leaders from all the different faith traditions, from the various branches of Christendom, the various schools of Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Islam, the Native American tradition, the Jain tradition, the Quaker tradition, and see if there were points of unity between the different religious traditions. What unites us? We all know what divides us. What are there points that unite us? Well, anyway, the way the Snow Mass group worked is that we spent a week living in residence in a different faith tradition community. And we meditated together for an hour in the morning together and an hour in the evening together. And we ate together and we became friends together. And we talked a lot together into the wee hours of the morning. We made lasting friendships, lifelong friendships. And then we had 3 sessions a day of discussion on whatever the focus was. For the first several years, it was these points of unity. Anyway, it was very inspiring. You know, Maslow talked about having peak experiences in life, those kind of life-changing, transformative experiences. And going to the Snow Mass group with Mataji was one of my peak experiences in life. Anyway, it was sort of a gathering time before the late morning session, and the spiritual leaders had arrived, but not all of them. And I asked them, I said, would you tell me what spiritual practice gave you the most bang for the buck? Now these were people very advanced in their spiritual lives. And they very honestly and very simply answered what spiritual practice gave them the most, they felt, was the greatest help to them personally. I mean, what What an opportunity that was, wasn't it? I wrote it all down. You can read it in the Common Heart. But that's the point. When we're with someone who knows, who is convinced without a shadow of a doubt in their own lives, it helps so much to ask them, or when they reveal to us, what is the greatest help? And it's usually a very simple answer. And as we go farther and farther along on the spiritual journey, we find that it is something very simple that becomes the primary connection. So I was very fortunate to live and be trained and to work with and see and observe and witness on a day-to-day basis my own spiritual teacher, Mataji Gayatri Devi. And she had the same experience with her teacher, who was Swami Paramananda. We had the opportunity to be with Mataji in all kinds of circumstances. You know, these people that we call holy people don't live in a bubble. They have the same human experiences that we have. They have to go through the same meat grinder that we have to go through. They have grief, they have frustration, they have betrayals, they have all kinds of things. And yet what's different about them is their response. What's different about them is what is inside them that makes them so strong, so unflappable, so resilient, so able to just, no matter what's going on, put their head on the pillow at night and just go to sleep like a baby goes to sleep. People who don't carry resentments, people who aren't anxious, people who are not afraid, people who have lived through wars and depressions and pandemics before, people who were alive in 1918 when the Spanish flu was decimating millions of people, people who lived through a complete crash of the economy, people who lived through World War I and II, people who experienced death in families. And yet the response is different, the attitude is different, the reaction is very different from ours. And they have something inside them that gives them a strength and an endurance that makes them, not as a human being, because they rely upon a resource that is part of their divine nature that we all have. Swami Paramananda gave us not this temple, because Mataji built this temple, but he gave us this beautiful ashrama. But he gave us the inspiration for this temple. There should be a fireplace. There should be the sacred fire. There should be these beautiful stained glass windows reminding us of the truth contained in all the different world religions. Giving us a place where we can come onto the ashrama grounds and leave our troubles behind, our heartaches and our troubles and our worries and our concerns, just for a brief respite. A place that is so beautiful in all seasons, where nature can live in harmony and peace, and we can find ourselves at one also with the natural beauty. Swami Paramananda was Swami Vivekananda's youngest monastic disciple. So not only do we honor Swami Vivekananda for bringing Vedanta and yoga to the West, to Europe and to the United States and to Canada, but also because he was our own founder's teacher and guru, spiritual mentor. The one who gave him initiation, gave him his own individual mantra, the one who initiated him into brahmacharya when he first became a monk, the one who accepted him into the order, even though he wasn't yet 21. The one who gave him and ordained him into sannyas, the final vows of a monastic, of a monk. The one who served as his example. As I said last week, so many people thought Swami Paramananda was so like his guru, so like Swami Vivekananda, but not at all in personality. You see, we don't become other, cookie cutters, copies of our spiritual teacher. We don't become, those of us who are Ma's disciples didn't become cookie cutter Madhajis. We became more and more ourselves, our authentic selves. We became more and more watching her and experiencing her as she did with Swamiji and his disciples and his community that lived closely with him. Saw that these were men and women of prayer, of men and women of meditation. Mataji said to me, you must meditate every day, not whether you feel like it and not how long you feel like it, but every day. That's how the growth occurs. And so, living in the atmosphere of such a person, seeing what Mataji and Swamiji didn't do, what these men and women of the divine don't do, that human beings do. In a community, just like Mother Teresa's community in Calcutta, they were having a huge disparity of labor force in Calcutta, and there were not enough nuns to take care of the ocean of need surrounding them. So they held a meeting. Let's have a meeting. Let's figure out how we can recruit more people. Mother Teresa wasn't invited to the meeting. It wasn't that she was excluded, she just wasn't invited. I think they had a sneaking feeling that she would react like Mataji would have. You're having a meeting? You are having a meeting? A meeting to solve this issue? Mother Teresa said, we go to the altar. We go in prayer. We don't go to a public relations firm. That's not our first turning. That's not where we do first. Mataji and Swamiji. First, the strength is, and their example, under all circumstances, is always to turn within, to ask within for help. Now, help can come from outside from many, many different sources. Don't get me wrong. If you need to have mental health professional, wouldn't it make sense, instead of asking someone else at the outset, who do you recommend, is to ask the one who created mental health professionals, please guide me to the one who will be the best for me first. And you say, well, that just adds an unnecessary step. No, it doesn't. It adds a source of wisdom and guidance. Because then when you ask within, then you're guided on the outside. The person who is right for you either comes by your asking someone or talking it with somebody, or all of a sudden someone comes into your purview and wow, and it turns out to be the right person. Because you took that extra step. And for the knowers, it's not an extra step, it's the most essential step, it's the first step. So today we're celebrating Swami Paramananda's birthday. His birthday's actually tomorrow, so give him a little thought tomorrow. You could even sing to him tomorrow if you would like. He was born in a lovely village in Borishal, in what is now Bangladesh, but was then East Bengal of India. And it was quite a beautiful kind of an estate. It was given to the family by his mother. His mother passed away when he was 9, and it was very devastating for him. How did he hear about Sri Ramakrishna? His father was a very progressive man. He built the first high school for girls in Borishal. He believed very much in education of women. But he went blind, and he asked his son to read to him. And so Suresh, which was Swami Paramananda's real first name before he became a monastic, read to him from one of his favorite writings, and that was the sayings of Sri Ramakrishna. And that's how he first heard about him. And then a little later, you see how these things kind of percolate that are meant to be? One of the young swamis from this fledgling order had a family that lived not far from the Guhata Kurta family, and would come periodically, and Suresh would have an opportunity to talk with him. And he heard about the great Swami Vivekananda, who became a world figure. He was like a meteor, was Swami Vivekananda. So Suresh, in his heart of hearts, felt this flame kindled. That number one, he wanted to meet Swami Vivekananda, he wanted to see him. And he wanted to visit Belur Math, which was the home of the Ramakrishna order. And some men from the village were going to be going there for Sri Ramakrishna's birthday in February. And so Suresh got permission from his father to be able to join them. And they went, and many thousands of people came to celebrate the birthday at Belur Math. Means it's M-A-T-H, but it's pronounced M-A-T, Math, which means monastery. So Suresh helped with things, helped with the refreshments, preparing to feed and give lemonade to all the thousands of people who would be coming. Swami Vivekananda only lived to be 39. So it was just 2 years before he would be passing away. And he was not in great health because he had untreated diabetes. And so he wasn't mixing with the crowds that were there in preparation for the big event. But every so once in a while he would come out, and every so once in a while Swami Vivekananda would sing. And Suresh was enchanted because so many classical singers in India embellished their songs, just to show how athletic they can be, and doing all of these embroideries and singing to show, I'm so great, this is what I can do. But Swami Vivekananda was a trained, also classical musician, sang with such heartfelt devotion, without all the egotistical trimmings, which so impressed Suresh. Anyway, it so happened that in the late afternoon he went behind the monastery. And monastery, we think of great big monasteries. It was a small residential building. And there was Swami Vivekananda lying on a chaise longue. And he looked up and saw this boy, 17 years old. And Suresh said, I will never forget his eyes. He looked into my eyes, deep into my eyes, with so much love and so much compassion, so much kindness. Then he asked him more about his life and his aspirations. Well, it was a short but powerful communion of souls. And Suresh's life was entirely changed. He left and went back home, and something had exploded inside of him. And he realized that he just had to go back. And he had a very deep spiritual experience which he never shared with anyone, ever. But we might see it in some of his poems. You just heard Krishna Sadhika, Mary Beth Melton, sing one of his beautiful songs, Love, Thou Art My God, My Goddess. So, he asked his father, may I go and be a monk? And I don't know any parents who really want their kid to go and be a monk or a nun. If my parents are any example of that, but most monks and nuns that I've known had some opposition from their parents. At least putting some barriers in front of them to make sure they really want to do it. And always hoping they'll come home because it won't be a good experience. So his father said, no, you just have so many qualities, you're going to be a great man. So anyway, Mataji's mother, who was about Swami Paramananda's age, helped him to run away from home. She was the wife of the eldest son, and Swamiji was the youngest son. And she held the keys to the kingdom, and she held the keys to the front door of the front gate of the estate. And one night, in the middle of the night, she let her dear friend out the door, and he made his way, somehow or other, to Calcutta. And he knocked on the door, and the monks there were not happy to have an underage boy arrive at the front door and ask to be admitted as a monk in the order. So they took him to Swami Vivekananda to make the final decision. And Swami Vivekananda looked at him very sternly and said, "Son, can you sing?" And that was the question which determined his fate. Swami Vivekananda asked him, "Can you sing?" And Suresh sang a song called I Know Nothing. I only know I have a mother. And Swami Vivekananda said, the boy will stay. I will take full responsibility. And so the boy stayed, but father and brothers and family were not happy campers, and they came flying. There were no planes yet. They came rushing to Calcutta, and they too knocked on the door of Swami Vivekananda and said, you know, he has so much promise. Why should he waste his life being a monk? And Vivekananda said, yes, he could be a great lawyer, a great doctor, a great anything, but he'll be greater than any of these. And so the rest is history. He was trained by Swami Vivekananda and another of the great direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. And then, as we know, he came here, first to New York and then to Boston, and gave us these ashramas, first lecture centers in various cities, first in Boston, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles. So there were places that people could come and hear about Vedanta. Again, not to be converted, but to deepen their own inner spiritual life, to quicken each soul in their own faith tradition. If you're a Catholic, if you're a Unitarian, if you're a Buddhist, if you're Jewish, be the best Catholic you can be. Be the best Unitarian you can be. Live the life, live the principles. Don't just carry the membership card and say, well, I'm this or I'm that, nominally. So what? It's a little like Jesus with the salt, you know? You can have a whole, you know when salt goes bad, it gets damp, it has no more flavor, you throw it out. And that's what Jesus said about tepid people. People that say, I am following a special period, a special religious path, and but I'm just like salt that's lost its savor. I have no life, no vitality. I am not living the life. I'm not living the principles of my faith. And that's what Swami Paramananda's Vedanta centers were all about. Teaching individuals how to live the life. How to meditate. How to connect with the divine. Never to proselytize or to say you have to be a convert to Vedanta, or even that you have to belong to any particular religion, because you don't have to belong to any particular religion to unfold our spiritual qualities. They're innate in every one of us, and we all have access to it, and we all enter the same way. It takes a certain amount of humility. It takes a certain amount of overcoming the arrogance of being the one who knows everything. We have to be able to say, I don't know everything. And the older we get, the more we know we don't know mostly anything. Because there's so much more to be known. There's so many more dots to be put together. I love this, and I never have gotten it right over the past few weeks, so I want to give you the exact quote. It comes from the Benedictine nuns at St. Scholastica Priory in Petersham, Massachusetts. You'll remember it, but these are the right words. One of the nuns says to the other two at the table, I was a lot better at self-acceptance before I had quite so much self-knowledge. So, you know, the older we get, the more self-knowledge we have. And we need to have self-acceptance, but, you know, St. Teresa of Avila said, with every bite, we need to have self-knowledge. With every bite of food, with every moment, we have to know what makes ourselves tick. What are the buttons that people can push, or the circumstances that people can push, and then I just have my usual habitual response. Not a considered response, not a reflective response. It's stimulus and response. Button pushed and I explode. Button pushed and I feel anxious. Button pushed and I feel afraid. Button pushed and I feel angry. And you know, there are people who have a hobby of pressing our buttons just to see that happen. They delight in that. And there's nothing like disappointing them. There's a great satisfaction in saying, ha, 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 fooled you this time. I may have responded 9 times, but I'm on to you now. So, anyway, so Swami Paramananda in the lectures and in his life and in the classes, and as we continue 115 years later, there are certain universal things that apply to all of us that we can practice that are easy things to do. They're simple things to do, but we just forget about them. And so it helps so much to be able to plug in again and to re-enthuse ourselves. You know, the word enthusiasm means to re-inspirit ourselves, to light the spirit again in us so that we have the incentive to carry on. I came across a wonderful statement by a Chan Buddhist teacher of the Chinese and Taiwanese lineage. Her name is Dr. Rebecca Lee. Chan Buddhism is Zen Buddhism. Life does not get in the way. Life does not get in the way of our spiritual practice. Life is our spiritual practice. And that's one of the secrets, isn't it? You know, we think, oh, I don't have time for a spiritual practice. I am so busy. Oh, and I have to make time. I have to get up 10 minutes earlier in the morning to meditate. Oh, that was so much fun on the first day. And maybe the second day. By third day, the bed feels more comfortable than it ever seemed in its entire life. I could go to sleep standing on my elbow just before I have to get up. When before, at nighttime, I have to find the most comfortable spot, then I toss around for hours and hours. But why isn't it like that in the morning? Nothing has to be just right. I'm just perfect. So, Swami Paramananda gave us, and Mataji gave us, and Vedanta gives us certain things that we can do that give us the most bang for our buck. What are the easiest things, the most tried and true, that are contained in all the great world traditions? So, first, if we understand that life is the practice field, that everything that comes up in life is meant to come up in our lives and is meant to be the material upon which we practice, upon which we apply our spiritual ideals and our spiritual practices. We're not meant to meditate just at a certain hour. We're not meant to connect with the divine just when we think about it. We're not meant to pray when we have, this is my prayer time. Oh, we start out with a structure like that. So we get into the habit. Because our whole life is just one big group of habits. We just live habitually. Not only our response is habitual, so is everything we do habit. And habit is a fetter, isn't it? That's why the Zen teachers always do something outrageous. What is Zen? And they do something really silly. You say, how can that be Zen? Well, it's something that's outside of what we expect. We only like life the way we expect it. In order to feel secure, we put everything in, we label things, we put it into compartments, we make it domesticated. But we're chained. This is not liberation. We're not free. We don't move. What free will do we really have? Oh, we have free will. There's no question about that. But do we, if we're just a creature of habit? No. So, steadfast. The theme for this month is steadfast resolution. There's certain spiritual practices that are basic. Prayer. If you need to set down 10 minutes a day, someplace in the day, every day, say, this is my time for prayer. And what is prayer? Conversation with one whom we know loves us. If you need to do like this man did, go up into the attic while his wife was out on a jog before the kids got up in the morning. And he took a cup of coffee up to an easy chair in the attic and spent 10 minutes with his Bible in conversation with the divine. And that was the way he started his day, talking and listening. Meditation. Putting everything aside and feeling in the presence of the divine. Spiritual reading of some sort. Taking in someone else's wisdom so that we have a few new ideas kicking around in our head. Taking the daily thought from Daily Thoughts and Prayers, something from that page, and memorizing it. And trying to live it out throughout the day. Not going to bed with something negative in your mind. Going to bed with something uplifting in your mind. I love Krishna Sadhika's music, any of her songs. We're so lucky that she has taken so many of Swami Paramananda's poems, and put them to beautiful music that touches a place in the heart. I hear so much so-called spiritual music doesn't touch me at all. But if you have some spiritual music that touches that place in your heart, then go there. Go there. It is that heart connection that opens this soul secret door as we begin service every Sunday with. Be out in nature if you love nature. Breathe the fresh air. Notice it. Be grateful for it. When things seem hopeless and depressing, gratitude is a strong spiritual practice. There are so many things for us to be grateful for. We don't have to live in that slough of despond, that molasses that just keeps us bogged down. Get out of ourselves. Get out of ourselves. Get out in nature. Hear the birds sing. Look for the first living being that you see in the morning. Bless them. Be grateful for them. I never know whether it's going to be a squirrel or, God forbid, a turkey. And I have to admit, I feel giving that my little prayer blessing, which I say to my first living being every morning, whatever it is. May you be free of predators. May you have plenty of food and water. May you have a happy family life. May you be happy. May you feel blessed. So whatever it is that I see first, I do that. And if it's a turkey, I look at it and I say, you can't be that way. You have to do it, and you have to feel it, by gosh. And I do. And for those of you who don't understand we have the largest turkey population this side of the Mississippi River, who have taken refuge at Vedanta Center and feel very safe here and very protective, and they have plenty of food and water, but they'll chase you, so you be careful. We don't mind if they stay in their domain. We have 35 acres or something like that, and plenty of turkey areas that are just welcoming of turkey, so we're not exclusive. However, when they attack the congregation or the community, it's a different thing. And they attack, the reason they attack is because I just want to explain something about turkey psychology. If you feed them, they become dominant. So our turkeys at one point were fed by somebody who fed them right on Lakshmi Bhavan's porch. And from that time on, they think they're the alphas around here, especially during breeding season. And there's always an alpha male who rises up from the group, and they fight their way to the top. And then they always have an enforcer. It's a little like the Godfather. It's the foul father. So we have the alpha male and we have his lieutenant. And watch out for the lieutenant. So anyway, that's it. So those of you who think we're not practicing Vedanta and being loving and everything, we are. But each has to stay in its own domain, you know? So we'll stay in ours and you be happy in the woods, okay? Or even in the field, but not pinching people as they walk by. We've even had big football players who have been chased to their car. So that's why I have a little hesitation. I always hope it is going to be my first living being in the morning. So, thank you, Swami Paramananda, on your birthday. And thank you for pointing out to us the simple things that we can do. For us, they're not the easy things because we don't persevere and we're not steadfast with it. But it's the perseverance, it's the steadfastness, it's just the keeping on, keeping on, keeping on, whether we feel any results or not. And the purpose of our spiritual life is to gain strength, to be stronger, to be more enduring, to be able to be the one who has the oxygen on, to be able to help others around us, and to not feel frail inside ourselves in terms of our own hope, our own optimism, our own being able to function skillfully in whatever life itself dials up for us. And whatever life itself dials up for us will always be some lesson that we need to learn, some quality within it that we need to strengthen in ourselves. And we can't force our spiritual progress. It sometimes feels glacially slow. That's why it is unwise to pull ourselves up by the roots to try to see how fast we're growing. Because even though it seems like we're growing very slowly, this growth is a more natural growth. It is a growth that is healthy and lasting. Because if we try to force growth, for example, by fasting for a month and not eating anything, or meditating for 24 hours a day for 5 years, or anything that's extreme. That's why the Buddha always taught the middle path. Sometimes when we try to force, it impairs our growth, and it sometimes can be unhealthy. So natural is better. Steadfast resolution is better. Simplicity is better. And the wonderful thing about the Vedanta path is we know that it will come to fruition. It will come to harvest. And whatever we believe deeply, gradually we become. So let us have our ideal and the holy people that we admire. You know, let us always aspire to the qualities that they demonstrate, that are universal ones, and make us more grounded, more compassionate, and more able to really help ourselves and help others.
Divine love enfolds me. Divine love enfolds me. Infinite wisdom guides my steps. Infinite wisdom guides my steps. Unbounded life permeates my whole being. Unbounded life permeates my whole being, making me invulnerable, making me invulnerable. From head to foot, from top to toe, from head to foot, from top to toe. Divine love enfolds me. Infinite wisdom guides my steps. Unbounded life permeates my whole being.
Of protection. I also say it every morning. Mataji said to say it every morning, and you could do it as well. It's very simple. Divine love enfolds me, and I always make a shield around myself. Divine love enfolds me. Infinite wisdom guides my steps. Unbounded life permeates my whole being, making me invulnerable from head to foot, from top to toe. Boom. It's like you have a shield around you, because, as we've said before, there are so many vibrations from so many different elements around us that we need to protect ourselves with love, with divine love and infinite wisdom. And we become invulnerable. So it's something that's simple, that we can do, that's very powerful. Anima, Angie Knowlton, set it to music, and we chose it today especially as something that we can all do that's simple. We just have to remember. Next Sunday, the Reverend Susan Sullivan will be here at 11 o'clock. I will see you again on February 18th, when we will celebrate Sri Ramakrishna's birthday, and I will share something of his life and his teachings then. And I just wanted to tell you that we stream live, thanks to Lisa Tishantu, on both of our websites. And it's there live as we're transmitting during the service, but also it's archived there. So you can see, a whole month's worth of talks. They'll be there for the whole month. And the lineage talks, the talks about Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother, and there's a whole selection of those, so you can know more about the people that we talk about from here. I also recommend that you read the wonderful biography of Swami Paramananda called Bridge of Dreams. It's a big book, but you can read a little at a time. It's highly readable, so that you can know more about our founder, but also, the life that he lived had its challenges just as ours do, and there's a lot of his teachings in there. So it's a lot of inspiration, a lot of things that can raise our spirits and keep us connected to our source, especially when we get overwhelmed by what's happening in our own lives. So Supriti, Susan Sullivan, will be here next Sunday. I always try to speak 3 in a row and then have one Sunday off, so you'll see a wonderful speaker. Swami Deva Bhaktananda, who plays our beautiful music every Sunday, will conduct this Thursday evening's meditation and class on the Bhagavad Gita. The class begins with 15 minutes of silent meditation, and then he will share what he's gleaned from some of the verses he's been studying in the chapter that he's working on. Refreshments are being served inside and also in the middle room. If you have someone that you would like us to pray for, we pray at midday service for everyone who's in our prayer book. And also in the middle room you can look at books related to Vedanta, and also you can buy incense there for your own worship. We have a lovely loose leaf notebook filled with holy pictures if you need one for your altar, or several. And there are CDs of Mataji's talks and some of my talks, and ashrama music there, so all kinds of things to lift your consciousness. That's the secret, lifting our consciousness. The theme for this month, February, is steadfast resolution. And Swami Paramananda's poem chosen by Sister Deva Mata is "Sail your vessel on, steady friend, steadily sail along. Water may be rough or water may be smooth, but ever hold fast to your compass. The sky may smile or the sky may frown, hold fast to your compass. Wind may roar or wind may be still, hold fast to your compass and sail your vessel on. Steady friend, steadily sail along." And from the Bhagavad Gita, "The one who is established and unshaken, who is alike in pleasure and pain," in other words, who does not lose our center in either pleasure or pain, "who is the same in pleasant and unpleasant, in praise and blame and steady. the one who is alike in honor and dishonor, the same to friend and foe, giving up all selfish undertakings. That one is said to have crossed beyond the qualities of nature. And the one who, crossing over these qualities, serves me with unwavering devotion, becomes fit to attain oneness with the Supreme. And the prayer. O unbounded Spirit of the universe, make your presence felt in my soul, that I may realize your love and sustaining power. You are the giver of all blessing. Grant me your blessing, that I may be ever conscious of your nearness, and transcend failure, grief, and despair. May God the Absolute, one without a second, the one in whom we live and move and have our being, the one God called by many names, Christ of the Christians, Allah of the Muslims, Hashem of the Jewish people, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians, Buddha of the Buddhists, Shangdi of the Chinese, the Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Brahman, the Divine Mother, the infinite and all-abiding Spirit of the Hindus, may you, who are our Mother, Father, Friend, Companion, Beloved, and Guide, grant unto us all peace and blessing. Peace, peace, peace be unto us and unto all living beings.